Welcome to my channel, and in this video I will talk about my pencils. I have quite an old coloring channel, and I suddenly realized that video about all my coloring supplies I did only in the beginning, so it was several years ago. I don't think that I renovated such video, and of course during last years I gathered a lot of pencil sets, a lot of paints, other coloring supplies. And besides, video about coloring supplies, it's my favorite on YouTube. I always love to watch similar videos from other YouTubers, and of course I decided that I would enjoy to film such a video myself. But we have a very hot weather here, so sorry, but I will be talking very slowly because I am thinking also very slowly in such a hot weather. Sometimes I think that I am melting, and of course you can see it in my coloring and definitely in my talking. Of course, all my pencil sets, they are quite familiar to you, so I won't be talking about some general traits of all those pencil brands. I will tell you about my personal experience of what are my favorite brands, which pencil sets I slightly abandoned, so maybe it will be their second chance to appear here and to appear in my next coloring videos, and which pencil sets I'm still not get used to, so I still have difficulties with using them. Before we will start to talk about pencils, I want to talk about swatches. Here I have all my swatches in one place. I always was a big fan of swatches. I usually prefer to do them in my own way. I don't like to use those pre-printed. You know that I prefer pencil sets which have color names because I never use color numbers. I remember quite well color names, so I remember favorites, my favorite color combos from each of the brands, and it's better for me when I do such swatches myself from the very beginning. I have them by brands, obviously. So in February, when I packed some of my coloring supplies to relocate after the beginning of the war, I decided that no, I won't be taking this pack with me. It's big, so I don't want to grab it. I don't need it. But then I realized that it was such a huge mistake. Of course, now I am quite familiar with my pencil brands, especially those which I use quite frequently, like Prismacolors or Polychromos. Very often you ask me how I color relatively quickly, but that's one of the reasons, because I know my pencils already quite well, and if you give me a page and I can imagine basic colors, I can put on the paper like, oh, for the sky I will use blue violet lake plus cobalt, for the grass I will use moss green plus lime peel for the highlights plus sepia for the shadows, so I can do such color planning because I remember all pencil names and their shades in my head, so I just grab some of my boxes. When I imagined such a picture, I grab my box, I quickly select necessary pencils, and I am ready to color. I don't need to lose time by switching, testing color combos. That's because I'm already familiar with the colors. So I thought that I don't need this swatches with me, but then I realized that with pencils like Colors or Artisan or even Polychromos, it's still very helpful for me to have swatches, especially when I try to invent some interesting color combos, some interesting color gradients. For example, starting from blue-green, going to the blue colors, then maybe to violet. Of course, it's much easier and quicker and saving time if you have all those colors before your eyes, when you can see even the slightest difference in the shades of pencils. So I still think that those swatches, they are precious and I really need them. And very often when I color something and I want to use something apart from Prismacolors and polychromacies, I can grab pencils from different brands. When I do serious tutorials on YouTube membership, on Patreon, I try to stay with Prismacolors and polychromacies, but quite often I want to like reload my head to work with the least frequently used pencil brands. Here I have my colors. So in such cases, when you have many similar shades, it's much quicker to have your swatches. So this one is one of my most precious art supplies, and I have a very reverent tradition to test everything and to keep everything in one place. Very helpful. From my own experience, it's a time saver. Now, also before we actually talk about pencils, let's talk about sharpeners. I use very simple sharpeners, and from all my previous experience, it's better to change your sharpeners more frequently, depending from your amount of coloring and amount of sharpening, maybe once a month. And the fresh sharpener, it will be quite careful even with soft Prismacolor pencils or other pencils where you don't have very good, very high quality wood. So I try to change them quite frequently. Probably my favorite sharpener is this very simple. Mostly I have this sharpeners from German brand Kam. I think that you know this brand. They have very good metal blades. They are cheap, so I think that it's better to change them more frequently, and in such way I never had problems with broken pencil cores, even with Prismacolors or other pencils. I also have a couple of sharpeners with bigger size. I need them for my only bigger size pencils. They Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils. For them I need something bigger, sometimes also for color softs. But that's my sharpeners. I don't like those automatic or electric sharpeners. I prefer to do my sharpening manually. It's better for my pencils. And you know, if you follow my channel, that I am totally a Prismacolor girl. I tested many pencils already, and still, if I need to have just one set, it definitely will be Prismacolors. They are perfect for my way of coloring. You know that I color quickly, I color without complicated layering and shading. I prefer to color everything with maximum 2 layers of color, so I need bright, soft pencils with good paper coverage. I also prefer to use blender if I need to mask white spots on the paper, and Prismacolors with their softness, they are perfect for my purposes. Maybe for those who prefer more delicate layering, they are not the best choice. I know that many people not fans of them, but I was lucky. I was lucky with the quality of my sets. Starting from the oldest one, here you have remaining parts of my oldest set of 72 colors. Oh, no, 132. Yeah, 132 was my first set. I thought that it's so many colors, it would be enough. And from the first set, I was lucky with their quality. I didn't have any terrible problems with their breaking, and they had to travel from USA to Ukraine via via sea or maybe avian delivery, but still they were delivered for a long distance. Still no problems at all. In my first set I had small problems with blue, non-photo blue, and in the next set any problems at all. When I started to color, I already had several pencil brands. When I started to color, first I was in love with the idea of trying sketching. So before I even knew about coloring books, I was interested in doing some travel sketches, and that's why I decided that maybe I need to watch some videos and to purchase myself some art supplies to cheer myself. I was quite busy at work. It was very challenging, very nervous work, and I wanted to cheer myself. So I went to our local art supplies shop and I purchased my first Derwent professional pencils because they were the only brand available apart from Czech Kohinoor Mondeluz pencils. It was several years ago. We didn't have at the moment Faber-Castell, and we didn't have, of course, Prismacolors, nothing like this. So I purchased Derwents, and Derwents were my first experience, my first professional sets. And at the moment when I purchased them, I loved them because comparing to what I had in my childhood, it was like earth and heaven. In my childhood, I had a very pale, a very hard pencils with so little of pigment and color which you can put on the paper. They were scratchy, so I never used colored pencils in my childhood. I remember that my parents, they tried different brands, but we simply didn't have it in my childhood. So when I wanted to color, I mostly used watercolors in my coloring books when I was small. I didn't like felty pens because for me they were unnaturally bright, and from the beginning I loved to color landscapes, so watercolors were my first choice. So when I, as an adult, discovered how soft, bright, creamy, and highly pigmented can be colored pencils, I was in love. I had Derwent color softs, I had Derwent ink pens. Then I gathered several more simplified brands which I ordered from Etsy, like Kalin or or children grade Faber-Castell Eco. They also were not bad. But after a couple of months of following YouTube tutorials, I realized that my pencils, even Derwent color softs, they didn't behave as I can see in the videos where pencils blend so smoothly and creamy, and I also started to feel a lack of many colors which I need for my pictures. And then I started to realize that I need to get Prismacolors. I even waited to start many of my coloring books actually before I can grab Prismacolors. I had to learn how to order from Amazon. I had to save money, and then finally I had my first box of Prismacolors, and I think that it was like a very important milestone in the life of my coloring hobby, in the life of my coloring channel also. And from that moment I realized that it will be always my favorite set of pencils. At least for now, I didn't test many of the existing pencil sets like Caran d'Ache and others, but still I think that for their price, especially if you manage to purchase Prismacolors on sales, they are definitely the best for beginners. I love their coverage of the paper, I love how they layer and blend, and I think also that their palette of colors is the best among all the sets. I love polychrome pencils, but in Prismacolors with all those, sorry for the look of it, but you can see great lavender, all those peach beige, beige sienna, clay rose, beige rose, they are so unique and so helpful. Their pastel and complicated light colors, they are absolutely unique, and now I think that my next way of stashing my supply will be somehow to get a replacement of those light colors. I was very lucky that in April, Natasha sent me several of the pastel colors which already was finished in my set, so now I can color again. Pencils like ginger root, pale sage, lime peel, they for me absolutely necessary for all of my pictures when I do grass or leaves, and I can't find something similar in many other sets. Even when I color with polychromos, colors like pale sage, lime peel, I always use them together with dark green polychromos colors. Of course, and another thing I wanted to mention is that I absolutely love gray colors here. Before I started to color, I never realized how important are grays. And here, where we have three families, warm gray, French gray, and cool gray, they are absolutely amazing, and cool gray definitely the best. And nothing compared with cold gray from polychromos. There I don't like shades of cold gray at all. Here 30%, 50% and 70% cold grays together with slate gray, absolutely amazing. And French gray family also very helpful as an intermediary color, colors which you can always use for shading with almost all other shades of pencils. So I really appreciate their gray palette. When I waited for my Prismacolors to arrive, of course I tried to color in my first books. I simply think that you need to look at something apart from my poor old veterans. So I tried to color something in my first book by Hannah Carson, but I can't say that I was happy. Here I have color softs, and I realized that yeah, they are not bad, but my biggest problem with color softs was that I can't layer them very smooth, and especially lack of green colors. Actually now I have much better experience with color softs. For a couple of years I abandoned them, now I start to use them more frequently, but we will talk about it later when I grab my bag of color softs. And several other pictures I also did using this one. It was made with Colleen and Faber-Castell Eco, maybe a couple of color softs, but still it wasn't what I wanted. Only when I got my Prismacolors I got the result which I wanted to achieve, like this one with all those interesting light and gray colors, or another one with a very intense dark colors. Sorry guys, here I have it. That's where I actually realized all the possibilities which coloring with pencil can open to you. And my first page, which I ever did with Prismacolors, it was those sunflowers. I remember how well this layering went from yellow to orange on the petals of the sunflower. I wasn't able to believe that it was colored by pencils. I showed it to my family and no one, because they were familiar only with the old pencil sets, no one tested our modern art supplies, so no one was able to believe that it was made with pencils without any visible pencil strokes. And I colored like crazy with my Prismacolors. My first pictures here. When I tested them on the dark areas, I remember that I was absolutely happy. So nice. And from that beginning, they are still my favorites. I think that if you need just one set, you can still use Prismacolors only. I don't remember any of the books where they actually would behave not well. I know books where you can't use polychromos, they are much more professional of course, but still I have coloring books where I don't like polychromos pencils, like Kanoko Yakuza books or some others, but Prismacolors, they behave quite well everywhere. Sometimes you need blender, sometimes you don't need it, sometimes yeah, they could be slightly similar to wax pastel, especially when you color on them a very smooth paper, but still you will be able to color everything and variety of subjects, from landscapes, interior designs, portraits, with just one set. how to use many other sets as one and only, I don't know, even polychromasis. In polychromasis, I feel a lack of these light colors. Even when I need to color sky or light wood, I always grab something from Prismacolors to have peach beige or beige sienna, gray lavender, sky blue light, powder blue. I frequently use them together with dark colors from polychromos set. So this one probably is the most universal one and my favorite. Next, I have my polychromos. With my first acquaintance with polychromos were when I realized that I need a more natural looking greens, that I love to color Flower Year by Leila Dewey, but it's not enough dark green colors in Prismacolor sets, that I want more natural ones. And fortunately, at that moment we already started to have polychromos open stock in our art supplies shop, so I purchased several greens. Then I got amazing present set of 60 polychromos pencils, and that's where my second love started. Currently, that's my almost full palette. I don't have a couple of green colors. For me, they are too bright. I don't know where to use them. They are definitely not for myself. I don't know why I don't have these two blue. I think that I need to purchase them next time. And I don't have the full palette of gray colors. I wasn't in love with cold grays, so I have couple here, a couple of warm grays. For me it's enough. I mostly use those cold gray too, warm gray too, but I absolutely love theirs black, Payne's gray and dark sepia. All those three pencils, they are perfect for shading. Quite often when I do my pictures in the very end, I realize that my biggest problem is that my shadows, they are not deep enough, that I don't have strong contrasts, and that everything looks a little bit too flat, and that I need to deepen my shadows. If I start to apply dark Prismacolor pencils for shading, everything starts to look messy because they are creamy, they are opaque, and polychromos pencils created much better result. So now they are my favorite pencils for shading. Dark sepia, Payne's gray, they can be used for shading anything from green colors, blue colors, all those brown colors. Even when everything is colored, and it doesn't matter which brand of the pencil you used, I can always use these pencils in the very end to darken my shadows, to increase contrast, and because of the transparency you can still see original color, but it will be a couple of shades darker, and that's how I can save my page. Why I love polychromos? Obviously because of their green colors, especially those mid-tone and dark greens. I think that it's my best criteria when I look at the new set of pencils. I always look first at the green range. If set has normal line of greens, natural looking without such a strange phthalo green colors, or this one excessively bright or blue-green colors, when it has colors which you can use for the grass or leaves, then I love the set. Of course, it would be better to have several lighter colors also, but at least all this line is very helpful. It really helps when you color Maria Trolle or Leila Dewey, when you have a variety of leaves, variety of plants, so you can do olive green leaves, you can do like regular green, you can do more bluish green leaves, and your botanical composition will look more alive and with better variety of green shades. My absolutely favorites are green gold. I love it for metals. I absolutely love earth green, and I also appreciate this line of brown ochre colors, also very good. Another thing, if I need to color portraits, maybe not my favorite subject to color, but from time to time I do portraits, and I can do them only with polychromos. With Prismacolors portraits, they usually look messy. That's because I'm impatient with layering, so with polychromos skin, when I color it, it looks better. Here I have several examples of the books where I use almost 100 or 95% of polychromos pencils only. Those portraits. Then botanical pictures. Definitely these greens, they are much better for me. Here, sorry guys. Oh, here. Oh, besides, I totally forgot about this book. I hadn't touched it from the last summer. I need to color something in Floribunda. So the first reason to use them, portraits. Second reason, when I need to do realistic botanical coloring. And the third, that's to color on the bad paper. Usually polychromoses, they are best choice when you need to color on Amazon paper or other Cocoa Vaio or Jade Summer books, or you know what I mean with all those thin terrible paper. Somehow polychromoses, they are the best choice here. When you need to cover paper without those blotches of white and visible white stains, that's how where polychromoses are my best choice. And here I also used Prismacolors where I need very light colors, but for the dark areas where I need strong contrast on the fabric, on the hair and gold, that's where polychromoses are usually my best choice. And also recently I started to use them much more often, and now they look quite short. That's because I started to use polychromoses in Kerber Razane's books, especially for his huge spreads. Yeah, here I also used Prismacolors, but paper in these books, it's for me it's smooth. So for the bigger areas, Prismacolors work better when I need to cover background, but when I need to work on the small accurate details, polychromoses provide me much better result. So that's where I started to use them more frequently. Yeah, this one was made completely with polychromoses. And they are definitely my choice number 2. If we talk about personal preferences, then my set number 3 will be Sucolor pencils. I think that already everyone is familiar with this range of Chinese pencils when you purchase shuttle art or bird funner pencils. They are the same as color pencils. They are the same as Sucolors. I have the set of 180 colors with black barrels, and from time to time they are crazy cheap on Amazon. So if you need a starter set with crazy amount of colors and with a good palette of colors, I would recommend to have Sucolors. If you are not sure if you're in coloring for a long time, if you are on limited budget, I am sure that Sucolor pencils can create a very good starter set. You will be able to color again almost everything because it has nice pastel colors. Look at those light colors here, which you can use for the fair skin tone. Nice selection of yellow colors. I love their greens. A lot of olive, light olive, bottle green, kiwi green, leaf green, forest green, emerald green. Everything you need for the leaves a very good selection for the sky, for the water, and a lot of interesting colors. I'm not sure how you can see it on my swatches, so let me you know that I'm a huge fan of lilac and lavender colors, so that's another reason why I love this set. And nice complicated colors like this gray blue, silver gray, greenish blue, here dark brownish red, reddish brown, burnt brick red. Interesting, with it's a mix between red and brown, between orange and brown. So a very good selection of colors, and their grays are also interesting. I especially appreciate greenish gray and those light brownish gray, which is similar to French range of Prismacolor pencils. I don't use their metallic pencils, I just use them a couple of times, but on black paper they create nice effects. Not very shiny, but still pleasant pastel colors. Another pleasant addition. So if you need budget set, I definitely can recommend this one. And besides, quite often when I use my more precious pencils like Prismacolors, which I need to get somehow from United States, or polychromoses, which I can purchase here but price is not so budget, I always think that for the backgrounds, for the simple big areas, I can use something with the more budget price, and especially with this amount of pictures I color, I have to think about some budget replacements. And these pencils, they are indeed a very good choice. To confirm my opinion, I prepared several of my finished pictures where I used two colors. Creative Heaven paper, so you can use these pencils in all the series. Look here, a very nice coverage of the paper. I did it with couple of layers. They are bright, they are pigmented, they are soft. Not as soft as Prismacolors, but quite close, and nice selection of colors. And on budget paper. Here another very cheap books and cheap pencils, but still results are not so bad. Now here I did this and this, and the color pencils were good. The same goes to my dragons. They are bright, they are nice. So without doubts I can recommend them. And as I said, they have quite a lot of, frequently they have discounts and price can be quite pleasant. I didn't have problems with breaking, just one pencil from 180. I need to be a little bit more careful. Something, I think that maybe dark brownish red, but it has similar colors, so even if it was broken a couple of times, but maybe it was my own fault, maybe I dropped it on the floor. With any problems at all. And I do love that they have names. I also try to memorize them. I already have my favorites. And as I said, very pleasant range of nude colors, helpful for the fair skin tones, and good colors for the darker skin tones. So if you love to do portraits, you can also do it with this set. They are currently living in this huge pencil case. I think that I purchased it because I immediately fall in love with the design. I still love it. I do love that it has cases, but it's not very convenient to use because this elastic rubber, it's in the middle of the pencil, exactly on their names. You can see that they are relatively untouched here, and I will try to use them more frequently because sometimes I simply forget about them and they deserve to be used. Yeah, they have some bright greens, some regular greens, impressive amount of pencils, so you will be happy if you decide to purchase this budget set. Honestly, I am thinking about getting square broad fanners. I never knew how to pronounce them correctly. So that square bread fanner pencils, I heard a lot of good things about their pigmentation, about their layering. It's better for focusing my camera. But they don't have names, and I hate when we have only pencil numbers. I never use numbers. Sometimes I read complaints beneath my videos that instead of the names I need to use numbers. Sorry, but for me it's not the way. First of all, with many of my pencils, they start to lose those golden names, and even on Prismacolors. Yeah, I can consult here, but it requires more time, and with the names I remember them by memory. I don't need to concentrate on the numbers. And when I watch other people tutorials, if I watch that they colored like flower using hot pink plus magenta plus shadows with dark purple, I will memorize it immediately. But if I have on my screen that they use pencil number P100A plus P122, you think that I will go and I will check those numbers? Sorry, no. So that's maybe the reason why I prefer to purchase only sets where I have color names. I know that you can upload translations of those bird fanner pencils from the sites, but if I don't have them on the pencils, for me it complicates coloring. I can't memorize my favorite color combos, so that's why I don't have this set yet. Well, I think that next we will talk about my Derwent pencils. But maybe it will be in the next part. I don't want to do very long videos, and I need to go to drink something cold because I absolutely melting here.